You take a deep breath. And you walk out onto the stage. You have 5 minutes alone to do what you wish. 5 minutes completely alone. 5 minutes on the stage of one of the greatest concert halls in the world, the Elizabeth Murdoch Hall. You are literally centre stage to take it in however you feel, to explore, be curious, and learn. You are warmly invited to form a relationship with the space, with the venue, with its walls, the floor, and with the 1,000 empty seats out in front of you. 5 minutes, completely alone. How does that make you feel? My name is Jessie Upton, and my pronouns are they, them.
My name is Latoya Forsyth, and my pronouns are she, her.
She's my boss, but we actually both met when we were teenage dirtbags ourselves, We were 18.
And now we work together at Melbourne Recital Centre, where live music lives. Melbourne Recital Centre has come a long way since opening in 2009 as a venue once only for classical music. We're home to 2 outstanding live music spaces, the Elizabeth Murdoch Hall and the Primrose Potter Salon, named after 2 leading female arts philanthropists. These spaces are on par with the greatest concert halls in the world, renowned for their intimacy and their uniqueness.
So it's understandable that you might not traditionally align the phrase teenage dirtbag with Melbourne Recital Centre right away.
And I don't know about you, but the thought of going back to my teenage years mostly fills me with dread. But there was something endearing only in hindsight, something wide-eyed, nostalgic.
And Melbourne Recital Centre is a teenager. Next year we celebrate our 15th birthday, and we're still feeling out who we are. Having grown to become a venue that welcomes and celebrates music in all of its forms. Still, like a teenager, we do sometimes find ourselves looking to the world and wanting to shout, "We are here."
It was actually the concept of screaming that brought the experience of audiences standing alone on stage for 5 minutes into existence.
So during Melbourne's lengthy lockdown, I'd often joke to Latoya that when we could reopen, a cathartic scream to reacquaint ourselves with the acoustics of the hall could be a community building experience for not just us, but everyone in the creative sector.
Now, let's not dwell on the pandemic that shall not be named, but it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge the deep-seated cognitive shift that took place during that time. In 2021, we won Best Live Music Venue at the Music Victoria Awards. We were ramping up to reopen the venue again with a significant amount of rescheduled events. We were excited, we were absolutely exhausted.
We still couldn't remember the code to the box office safe.
And we were learning how to do our jobs again, while struggling to have in-person conversations again.
All whilst co-experiencing this disconnect between what was and what now is, because this momentous change had taken place, individually and collectively, but that physical structure that we had spent the better part of 2 years just not waiting to be able to get back inside of, hadn't changed at all.
The wants and needs of our community had rapidly changed, and they continue to change. We're wondering what our place should be in it. When we ask each other who we are as an organisation, we don't necessarily collectively know or agree. But what if we reframed that unknowing into the opportunity to embrace an identity emergence, reassert what is at our core, and set us up for the future?
So we did what any teenager does, with big heart and big feelings, who doesn't quite have a handle on who they are yet. We got writing, and what emerged was our manifesto.
Music is a universal language. It's the heart and soul of what we do, and has the power to unite, transform, and transcend. We're for the music lovers, the music makers, and the sound creators, the administrators and the operators, who work as one to create oral magic in our spaces and beyond. We're lovers of live music. We are where live music lives. It's earnest, perhaps a little bit cringy, but it's aspirational.
When we first wrote this together as part of our working group, we were met with those age-old questions from some colleagues. Things like, why do we need to do something like this? Why do we need to define ourselves at all or in this way?
Because the world has changed. And now, more than ever, we need to embrace the currency of connection.
So Ray Oldenburg describes our first place as the home we live in. Our second place is our workplace. And third places are spaces that anchor our life, where we participate in community and creative interaction.
These places have new currencies of connection that extend far beyond the financial. Time, social return, attention, energy. So how do we embrace and challenge existing structures to create meaningful connections for our community?
And to quote that Wheatus banger, prospective audience members are asking, do they even know who I am? Do they even give a damn about me more than ever?
So let's forget conversion funnels for a sec, and let's focus on that give a damn criteria. As a potential customer, I'm weighing up the intangible value of an experience as much as the tangible. If I invest in this, what will I get out of it? Is it relevant to me? Does it serve my needs? Does it add value to my everyday life?
And like many venues, look, we were guilty of assuming that connection only takes place in our performance spaces. And so we actively challenged that. Our foyer spaces are not just transient corridors that lead to a bathroom block. They are spaces that hold important in-between moments, the befores and the afters.
When you add all these moments together, the list gets long.
It gets intimidating.
Too hard to combat.
Too hard to find the time.
I'm pretty tired just thinking about it again. A moment, though, by definition, is a very brief period of time. So what if we took that definition and we applied that to our approach? And to the magic of micro. Micro is a strategy, micro is an action, a measure and an outcome. Because for many, Melbourne Recital Centre is their third place.
So now, when we look at this manifesto, it becomes momentum to design the experience of Melbourne Recital Centre to complement and cultivate connection in every way. Because our manifesto says that we harness the transformative power of music. We harness the shared experience of music as a catalyst for connection, because we invite our visitors to form a relationship with the centre as a place. But how do you summon the energy to approach all these things when business as usual is full steam ahead?
This is where we distill our manifesto into micro tactics, micro moments, and opportunities. In a business where there is a different product and therefore a different artist, presenter, and audience every night. Small incremental changes, sometimes strategically piggybacked onto other projects, or larger projects that have an extended lifespan. So where do we find the magic in that? The magic lies in the mindset and the reframe that permits us to change course, to test and to play. Starting small to understand the impact of the wider system that you're working within and the constraints and resistance that you might come up against along the way.
But then how do we make that magic happen? Through the art of collaborative collusion. In order to redefine connection in our spaces, connection for and with those music lovers, those music makers, the sound creators, the administrators, and the operators.
Our definition of collaborative collusion is equal parts vision, determination, communication, campaigning, persuasion, and demonstration. And it's grounded in finding your allies, fans and friends to champion reconnecting the workforce with our purpose and our physical spaces as much as the audiences. Because we didn't do this alone.
So let's get practical. We revisited the very basics of experience design and with some super low-cost new furniture, rearranged our foyers to focus on connection, transforming the areas to achieve our goal of a living room by day and a live event space by night.
Our digital concert season, live from Melbourne Recital Centre, is available to watch in our foyers. We co-opted some silent disco technology for folks to sit down and watch the content on our screens with wireless headphones. A welcome surprise we weren't necessarily expecting saw visitors embark on their own exploration of our spaces, wandering to the soundtrack of live music experiences that had been recorded on our stages.
And now, everything is a blank canvas. For years, we had yearned for artwork in our foyers, and when we finally were in the position to do something about it, we ran. ArtBank has allowed us to bring 18 pieces of contemporary Australian art to our spaces for the next 12 months. Strategic placement of artworks has allowed us to create dwell areas during the audience journey, in and around the centre. This allows us to frame areas of the building that weren't usually engaged with and gives them an invitation to step forward and explore. Internally, these artworks provided permission for folks to get back up from behind their desks and get out into the front areas of the building and explore, seeing it anew, which had a considerable and continues to have a considerable wellbeing impact on our teams.
Looking out, Melbourne Recital Centre has some of the best views in the precinct. But looking in, for many, we're just that weird honeycomb-looking building. To redefine our grand staircase space, we engaged Polish artist Gosia, whose frost drawing used the centre's honeycomb windows as her blank canvas to create a real-time visual diary of what was happening in and around the centre and South Bank over a 4-week residency. Gosia's art became inspiration for a new music composition that premiered at a free event, bringing together friends, family, art lovers and music lovers in an authentic and intimate live experience on that very staircase.
Duet Featuring You, which was that 5-minute solo experience I described earlier, was part of Open House Melbourne this year. When briefing someone on the experience that we had planned and explaining that it would be just a set time for one person and one person only to get to experience the Elizabeth Murdoch Hall, they were just absolutely incredulous that we hadn't placed a musician in the hall to show the visitors their experience. But this was an opportunity for relationship building at its most literal, because for 5 minutes at a time, there was a full democratisation of the stage, where the space was yours and yours only.
Sometimes all you have to do is rejig a schedule. like we did to connect our guided tours with our accessible free music concert series. When visitors purchase a ticket to our monthly guided tour, the journey now concludes at the Primrose Potter Salon, where the centre's popular free music lunchtime concert is set to begin in just 15 minutes' time, in a space where Melbourne composer Percy Granger's free music composition is carved into the walls, which you would probably only know if you actually attended the tour.
We can't do it alone, and so we're connecting with people and industries and creative projects whose mission and values match ours. RMIT is now our official playful placemaking partner. RMIT students have been exploring across an entire unit of study how to create a soundscape journey through the centre that responds to the space.
This power of partnership extends to our initiative with community representatives that nurtures and creates connections for female migrants and refugees, connecting them with the social and emotional power of live music. It's an initiative that has welcomed hundreds of female migrants and refugees from different parts of the world to connect and to heal. And all you have to do is look at the participants' faces to see the impact that it's made.
When discussing relationship with place, it is vital that we attend to country. Our recent collaboration with arts and social change organisation Big Heart culminated in Songs for Freedom, bringing First Nation stories and place to the centre. With careful guidance, our operations team brought to life the sights and sounds of the Pilbara, crafting a journey through the foyer spaces that then led to the concert happening in the hall. Now, it's near impossible to master the magic of micro alone. Here's how we do it in 4 steps.
Collaboratively collude within and across your teams. Find your partners and your buddies in crime that know how you work and believe in what you do. Find them internally and externally. Hunt and hustle for that money. Get creative. Beg, borrow, steal and siphon from other projects and budget lines, and make good friends with your philanthropy and finance teams in order to be able to do so.
Get relational and think big, but act small. To think micro, you also need to strategically understand the macro. Begin to consider relational systems, how you connect to the land, the place, and space both alongside and with each other.
Get out of your head and choose curiosity. Challenge fixed mindsets and confirmation bias. Ask why and what if. Do the research and actually listen. Advocate for your audience and actively invest in rediscovering the everyday, the wonder and awe of the little things just as much as the big things.
And finally, embrace your inner teenage dirtbag, baby. And by that we mean look forward, rebel, experiment, and actively choose to lean in hard to the magic of rediscovering what's around you. Fail fast, learn fast, and push forward. It's okay if it's cringy, just be genuine.
Thank you.